Okay, why did I choose this story? I've lived in Turkey for 20 years and I've travelled the length and breadth of this beautiful country, and when I was in the southeast I constantly saw this image, this recurrent image of a serpent queen, and I was intrigued. I'd see it in coffee houses, in restaurants, in homes, even in Tarsus there's a statue down there. And I did some research and I discovered the story of Şahmaran, and I'm passionate about storytelling and the culture of storytelling, and I was just looking for an opportunity to use this story, and along came Thornhill Theatre Space. The theatre scene in Turkey I'd describe as vibrant. There are theatres of all shapes and sizes. There's a rich tradition of theatre in Turkey, doing traditional plays, modern plays. Also, in some of the bigger theatres they welcome international theatre groups across, and those plays will be in English with Turkish subtitles. There's also an expat theatre group called Speech Bubbles, which is very good. They do 3 or 4 plays a year, plus a pantomime. Oh no, they don't. Yes, they do. So yeah, it's a vibrant scene. Yeah, lockdown was quite busy actually, very creative time. I'd started being involved in 2 plays with Speech Bubbles. Those went online. There was lockdown and The Wrong Room, and then after that I was involved with pop-up theatre, and I was Sherlock Holmes in 5 audio plays. And then through that got to know Ryan at Thornhill Theatre Space, and here we are. Favourite Halloween tradition? Obviously, well, I grew up in Scotland, so Halloween is very big in Scotland, more so than in England. And we used to go trick-or-treating, we used to dress up as ghouls and monsters, and then at the end of the evening we would compare what we'd hoarded in our bags, sweets and chocolate and money if we were lucky. But now I think my favourite tradition is Bloody Marys. I love drinking Bloody Marys. So yeah, happy Halloween.
Whispers in the dark.
Hark, Dostum, hark. It is true, my friends, it is true, that once there was a man who had a fine coat, not unlike this one. And everywhere he went, he met with the most wonderful hospitality. Delicious food, the finest wines. But there was also a woman, and when she went to the same places, doors were closed, curtains drawn. The woman asked the man, "Why is it that when you go, you meet with such wonderful hospitality, but when I go, everyone turns their back, they shun me, they draw their curtains?" "Well," said the man, "my name is Story, and everybody loves a good story. What's your name?" "My name is Truth," said the woman. "Ah," said the man. "Well, why don't we travel together, because there's more than enough hospitality for the both of us. Hold on to my coattail and we can travel together." And that is why when you hear a good story, somewhere hidden in the coattails is truth. It is also true that 10,000 years ago, in what is now Turkey, in the southeast, in the region of Tarsus, there was a woman, a beautiful woman with long black hair. and the blackest eyes. She had the body of a serpent, and at the end of her tail was a snake's head. She was Queen Şahmaran, and it was said that she could kill you with one glance, one look, or she could suffocate you with her breath. Needless to say, there weren't too many people out after dark. And mothers used to warn their children, be home before the sun goes down. Şahmaran doesn't make a sound. She'll steal your soul and drag you down to her underground kingdom beneath the ground, and there you will perish, never to be found. Not everyone listened to these old wives' tales. There was one, son of a poor family, a family of woodcutters. His name was Cemshab, and he used to wander in the hills with his friends. And one evening, they were in the forest, they were looking for honey. And Cemshab knew a place, there was a cave, like a well, and at the bottom he knew he could find honey. He told his friends, cut a vine and I would tie it around my waist and climb down. And that's what he did. He climbed down to the bottom of the well. He put his jacket on the ground and he gathered the honey. He tied it. Okay, you can put it up now. And his friends pulled up the jacket and the honey. Okay, send down the vine, I'm ready. Send down the vine. Hello? Hello? They'd gone. They'd left him. And the shadows got longer. At the back of the cave, Cemshab noticed a stream of narrow light through a fissure in the rock. He went and he put his eye to the hole and he looked through, and there he saw the most wonderful sight. He saw a garden like none he had ever seen before, a paradise. There were birds of every colour, flying, plants, pools, waterfalls. He took out his knife and he started to dig at the hole to make the hole bigger. He put his hands and pushed aside, and he kept digging, and eventually he was able to push through. He found himself in the garden, but then he saw a terrible sight. Everywhere were snakes, writhing, hissing, looking at him. He backed away. And then suddenly, the snakes parted and they made a path. And at the end of the path, he could see a woman, a young, beautiful woman, sitting on a throne. He couldn't go back. He had to go on. He walked towards the woman, and as he got closer, he could see the body of a serpent, the snake's head, but she was beautiful. "What are you doing here?" she asked. He told her. "Ah," she said, "humans are deceitful. They are not to be trusted. But now you are with us. You are captive." And so he was. She put him to work in the garden, and it was the most wonderful work. He loved being in the garden. He made friends with the snakes. And despite what people had said, despite the rumours, Şahmaran was a most generous, benevolent ruler, and her subjects loved her. After some years, she grew to trust him, and he trusted her. After some more years, she fell in love with him, and he with her. It was a deep, passionate love. But after some more years, despite the love he felt for Şahmaran, Cemshab went on bended knee and said, "Please, my queen, my love, I miss my family. I have to go back. My mother, she's getting old. I want to see her. Please allow me this." And Şahmaran said, "I allow you. It pains me because I love you so deeply, but I understand. Please go back, see your mother. But promise me this. Never tell anybody about how to find my kingdom, and never, ever go to a hammam. This he promised, and he returned to his mother and his father, who were overjoyed to see him. Some years later, the Sultan of the kingdom grew ill. His vizier told him that the only way to recover from his illness was to eat the flesh of Şahmaran. The vizier was an evil man. It was said that he was a wizard. He practiced the black arts. He was a seer. And he saw that there was one person who knew how to find Şahmaran. He summoned Cemshab to the palace, and when they had him, they tortured him. They took him to a hammam. They stripped his clothes off his back. And then they saw, as the heat rose, the skin on Cemshad's back turned to scales, on his arms, on his legs, resembling the skin of a snake. And the vizier said, I can see you have seen Şahmaran. You will bring her here, and if you do not, I will kill your family. There was nothing Cemshad could do. He went back to the cave, and to his astonishment, when he arrived, there was Şahmaran, the queen. Do not speak, she said. I know why you have come. I know what they did to you, and why you have come back. Listen to me. Make my death a painless one. Take your knife and plunge it into my heart, and then take my body back to the palace. Cook my body in an earthen dish. Feed my skin to the Sultan and my entrails to the vizier. Do this, and promise me you will never forget me. I love you with every inch of my being. I love you. Never forget me. And this he did. He took his dagger, he plunged it into her heart, and he took her body back to the palace. There, as she had told him, she was cooked in an earthen dish, her flesh served to the Sultan, her entrails to the vizier. The Sultan immediately started to feel better. He recovered. But the vizier, his throat started to contract. He couldn't breathe. He fell to the floor, writhing, and died an agonizing death. To thank Cemshad for all he had done, the Sultan made him the new vizier. He had palaces, he had wealth, his family were cared for. But despite this, Cemshad was a broken man. Despite all this wealth, he was a lost man. And one night, he climbed to the highest tower in Tarsus. He stood on the parapet, looked down, and threw himself down. But even then, his body was broken, it was twisted, but he could not end the torment. At nights, families would sit by the fire, and they would hear Cemshad walking the streets, the clack, clack, clack of his stick. It is said that the snakes of Şahmaran's kingdom never learned of their queen's death. But if they should learn, then woe unto you, for they will wreak their vengeance. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope I did not offend you in any way. And if I did, well, it was not my intention. I am a humble storyteller. Forgive me. And without further ado, I would like to wish you good night.